I believe that we are not using the community the right way, because the same is though we are acquainted, but we are not.
Yeah.
And the moment that you know that you can help each other, I think helping each other is not, oh, I'm doing everything for free. But for me, firsthand, it is about opening doors. Connecting, getting people to know each other. And I know that this is where the real opportunity, but also where the possibility lies. Yeah. We forget sometimes to ask things because we're afraid of the answer. And I learned from really young age that, okay, it's probably you can get a no, but you know, and you always get a no, but you probably can get a yes.
Yeah, maybe you get a
maybe
yes.
you get a yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Bicultural Edge, the podcast by and for the bicultural, the African diaspora, and friends. In each episode, we'll be exploring the many ways how our culture, our lived experience, but most importantly, our identity help us and they shape how we navigate different worlds. Welcome to the Bicultural Edge. My name is Kemo Camara. I'm the founder of Omek. You ready? Two amazing people for this one episode. And an episode is one of my favorite episodes because we have like this community building, supporting background. So we want to leverage our bicultural identity and then like discuss why and what is the origin story, what is driven also like really contribute and what does that look like as a bicultural, how do you contribute and making an impact, you know, in the community. But should we get started? All right, so the first guest next to me is Coco, the superstar. I'm sure that everybody knows who Coco is. Ooh. Coco Olakunle. I heard there's like a bunch of other Naja name in the middle that I don't know.
No,
so
my names are a
secret.
secret.
Can you say the whole thing?
My names are a secret. It's Coco Olakunle.
It's Coco Olakunle.
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 Yes, sir.
Oh man, yeah, Nigerian people be like, come on, sister, you got to say the whole thing.
Well, the whole thing is not Nigerian, but the whole thing is Michelle Lineke Olakunle Laban Adianka Floyer.
Okay. Can you say that one more time?
One more time.
One more time, please.
Please, sharing.
Michelle Lineke Olakunle Laban Adianka Floyer.
You are gonna keep that? Come on now, Coco.
But you can just say Coco.
Yes, wow. Coco, that's what I go by. That's what I go by. And my second guest, I'm sure you have never heard of him before. You probably have never seen, but this in every successful organization, even society, there are people behind the scene who pushes the thing and make things happen. They're like literally always behind the scene. This guy is one of those guys. I don't know how we figure out to get him to be here, but now he got the spotlight. That's John Olivieira. John.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah? So.
I'm a little bit nervous now.
I know.
Your introduction was too much.
Did I set the bar too high?
Your introduction was too much.
There you go. All right, so let's go. Let's start with the introduction. Yeah? Let's start with the introduction. Well, the way I want to introduce yourself is maybe tell us, as a bicultural, where you from, where have you landed, and how does that show up in your daily, life, the day-to-day life? Coco, you go first.
Okay, I go first.
Ladies first.
Yes, please.
So your question is where I'm from, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that starts with my parents. My mom is from the Netherlands, from the Zaanstreek. Mm-hmm. And my father is Nigerian. So that's the combination. And how does that, how does that?
Yeah, so your father being a Nigerian and your mom being from the Netherlands, so that make you obviously a bicultural, navigating those two cultures. How have you navigated that, building your cultural identity, and how have that led you where you are today?
Yeah, I think Nigerians and Dutch people are, I think, the most extreme opposites. So, yeah, that is a bit of a challenge.
I did not know that.
I think so. Every time when I'm in Nigeria, I'm always very happy, but I also need some time to adjust. Here in the Netherlands, everything is very individual. You don't really talk to people. You just mind your own business. In Nigeria, you mind everybody's business. So that's a big difference. But yeah, so it has been a challenge in some ways. I think when I was growing up, being Nigerian, when I said I was Nigerian, people just said that means you're African. That was it. Now when you say you're Nigerian, like, oh, from Burna Boy, or I like jollof rice. So they come with all these things. So it's interesting how I didn't change. My background didn't change, but the way people respond to you changed. So, but I think now, today, it's very much present in my life. It's in my work. It's in my daily life. It's within my environment, my people, my friends, my food. So yeah, it's very much there.
Okay.
But I like Hutzpah too, though.
Is that perception, the way we look at Nigerians, is that, in your perspective, positive? Because
good question. I guess it depends on who you're asking, but I think because the world woke up and is now realizing that there's so much coming from the continent, and specifically Nigeria, like music, food, fashion, that I can say now people respond to it more in a positive way, which was very different before, right? So, but I mean, we also have an image which is very hard to change. So I guess it depends on who you're asking. Yeah.
John?
My parents are from Suriname, so I always think about, if you're talking about bicultural, I think like, from what perspective are you viewing this? So I'm born and raised in Rotterdam. Hey, shout out to the Rotterdam people out there. And I don't know what to tell you more about it. My grandparents came to this country in the 60s.
Okay.
So before the big wave. And well, let's say it was a hard time for them. And I think because we're talking about how to navigate here, I'm born and raised in Rotterdam, but we grew up, me and my brother, in Hoek of Holland, which is a small town, and I believe that we were the first black ones in that, I said town, but it's a village near the beach. So this gives you an...
No, I think so. I think you probably like captured the essence of your grandparent came here, your dad's, obviously here, and you're born here, and you're, like, shout out to the people in Rotterdam, still representing them. And so growing up in the village of your being the only black, like navigating that, right? Like you have like your parents, I'm sure, passing you the cultural heritage at home and everything, and then you go outside, there's the main culture, and so like how does that inform where you are today?
No, it's interesting because I'm really aware that I'm now talking into a podcast that's been broadcasted like everywhere, but still. My mom chose not to share the language, the Surinamese language, the Saran Tongo. And because at that time, she was really aware that people were, there were a lot of racist remarks at that time, especially because of the way that it has been pronounced. So for Dutch standards, as wide as you could say. So for me, it was really clear that if you went for a job interview, I was small, from a certain age, we didn't have mobile at that time, so it was by phone. People didn't expect a black guy coming in. So, and I think that this is a lesson learned for the rest of your life, because then you're aware that the way that you pronounce things, everything, that is different than the people are perceived you. So it's really clear for them that someone comes in with a different color. And how you're going to navigate with that? Well, we all are familiar, especially the black viewers, with the talk. Well, I had the talk, of course, all from a really early age on, me and my brother. So I think that this is, the first step, how to navigate in a country that is predominantly white.
Coco, how was that for you, right? Being of a Nigerian father, but a Dutch mom here, and then, like, how was your upbringing in this early age, and when did you first start realizing the nuances, of like navigating these cultural spaces?
Yeah, I think growing up, my mom is just my mom, and that she looks different than me. I think maybe I was like 10 when I kind of realized, like, hey, this is you look very different. It was mostly other people that would see that, because I don't know any better.
It's your mom.
It's your mom. Yeah, exactly.
And funny enough, the other way around, when I see kids with parents that look different, I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. But if someone would say to me, I'd be like, huh? Why? Like, she's just my mother. I do. There was one specific moment actually, which was I don't know, maybe 6 years ago or something, and I was in a car, and I was on the not driving but the other seat, and there was this other car next to me, and we're driving at the same speed. So when you're driving on the highway, you just look like who's next to you.
Yeah.
And there was this, from my perspective, old grumpy woman driving, and I was reading a book, and I was putting the book up so she could see that I was reading, because I thought, oh, maybe this is a chance, an opportunity for me to show that we read books and we're intelligent people,
Oh.
But the thing is that when I told my mom this, she was like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. I'm like, huh? But you created me. But then you realize, like, oh, we go through life in such a different way. Yeah. So it was kind of painful on different levels. So you have to have a lot of conversations, and there will be things that someone that created you might never understand.
Absolutely.
But at the same time,
No, I'm dying to ask you a question, because this is so, in my perspective, a big thing. Because at some point you were thinking like that, the grumpy old woman and everybody who looks like that, we're thinking that you or we are not reading books. I think that's quite bizarre.
Yeah, it was. There's so many.
The notion. I mean.
Yeah. I saw it as an opportunity to show something positive.
Yeah.
I have, we have many examples of moments that you feel like responsible to do the right thing, because maybe someone in front of you in the line that looked like you did something, and you're like, oh, let me show let me be polite or something. So, that in itself is very deep. And then the fact that you want to talk about that with a parent that understands but can never experience. Yeah. On the other side, I had conversations with my father that sometimes I felt like, okay, that's from a perspective that comes from a different time. And there's also friction sometimes on that side.
Generational gap.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I want to connect this upbringing to what we are today and the work that you both are doing. Maybe before I even ask that question, I would love to, can you share with the audience a bit, Coco, what do you do? I want people to know, why did I call you a superstar?
Well, I cannot answer that question.
Yes, you can.
But, yes, you can. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's one question that I'm going to say, but I won't say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Scary. I'm a photographer, and I guess people call it a community manager, and a mentor. So I love everything about photography, and I love other photographers.
You're an amazing photographer.
Thank you.
Your work has been, you've done amazing work. You work with Omek. That's the only organization I actually know you work with.
Oh, yeah.
Still true.
Oh, that's another one.
Oh, shall I share
Yeah,
what I do?
I'm getting, I'm passing you the mic. That's why she's sitting in the middle here, because she worked with both of our organizations.
I didn't know if you were finished. You said the only organization. I felt like, Coco is a photographer.
She's
and
an international photographer.
She's 100% an
I know
international
she's,
photographer.
beside our organization, she's done a lot of other organizations.
But the viewers don't know.
But some superstar names. So I want that exactly.
The viewers don't know. So the organization we took over 5 years ago was called OneWorld.
Mm-hmm.
We write about human rights, identity, and climate justice, and the intersectionality between these three. And Coco is a, well, we publish a lot of photos from you, and I'm really happy with that. Not in every stage, but now when I've paid the invoice, that was the joke, the running joke. Now, so what I'm doing, I'm a marketeer. Background, I think, in the media space and the cultural space for the last 25 years. And currently I'm in a board for a youth media organization called FUNX. I'm currently busy as a board member from an anti-racism organization called FAIR. As anti-racism within the football, we do all the Champions Leagues and Nation Leagues. Well, a lot of stories around there. Mm-hmm. And I'm in the National Art Council. Mm-hmm. And did I forget? No. And Amsterdam Southeast, we started off in hip-hop center called Foundation.
The Foundation. This is what I was saying earlier. You're like the guy behind all this amazing organization and pushing the magic button, making things happen.
I never do things alone. Never.
Yeah.
So you give me too much fair.
That takes me to the next question.
You
never do anything alone.
No.
You are, everything that you've done, and the both of you, right? You build spaces, whether it's a physical space, virtual space, or cultural community that weren't built, or being for the community, people that were not being seen or like overlooked, or whatever term that can be used for this, like that probably connect with like your upbringing, or maybe say like you felt, that were not given the appropriate visibility, spotlight. What was the moment when you stopped waiting for someone else to come in and build that space for you?
Ladies first.
Well, I think when I went to Nigeria in 2018, me and my friend Carmen, we met a lot of people from the creative scene, designers, photographers, writers, artists, and we felt like the people in the Netherlands need to know, like we need to make a connection. So we started a physical space where you can find fashion from these brands or art books. And I think what helped was that we didn't make any like business plan or any plan, actually. It was just a feeling of we want to share this because we don't see it in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands, to be honest. And there's so much to share. And so basically we just put all our money in a space and we started. And it was actually after that it became a community space. It wasn't like, oh, we want to start a community. That was something that came naturally by showcasing items and books and doing events that are for us, basically. Yeah.
Before we go any further, let me tell you a bit what Omek is all about. Omek is a community-based career and professional development platform that connects bicultural talent with global organization and brands, but also with meaningful resources and an opportunity. Here's my call to action for you. Go right away on the website and register and to join our digital hub, our digital platform for free, where you will have the opportunity to meet and connect and engage with the global community of other bicultural, and also be able to participate in workshop, meet new people, and find job. Together is the only way forward. And I think your space is amazing, and like the way you have been able to manage and then bring those item across and connecting the community, the creative community on the continent and also here. But also even your photography, like your photography capture the essence of the community, the way it's supposed to be represented. It's like telling the like your own narrative through your, the lens and photography. But also you have a photography community that you pass in. So all this work that you're doing to support the community and create something that you want the community to be like.
Yeah.
Which is, and I think, John, it's a similar thing for you, whether it's being part of the board member or like building the foundation within, like in the Bible. Like what, for you, like what was the thing where you like, you know what, we need to build these spaces?
Well, it started quite early. I mean, for the viewers out there, I'm 55 years old. So, for me, it was a part of the upbringing as well. So, being brought up by a single mom, and she made really clear that there are no limitations. Oh. And I think that's not entirely true, but I believed it at that time. So, I remember that me and my brother, we went out because we were Rotterdam kids, so we wanted to go out. We at that time, we didn't get into the clubs. So, and at some point, we started off a small club in Brabant, which is a part in the Netherlands. Yeah. And that was our fuck you money. And we started off by, we noticed that all the, say, black music wasn't really promoted within the center of Rotterdam, but also in the outside. And we saw that in different cities. And I used to, at that time, I was a dancer, so I used to storm on the stage. That's one reason why I was like doing this.
You got the move.
You got the moves. So we thought, hey, we have to change that. So we got lucky that there's always someone who's the sponsor. We thought like, hey, you have creative ideas. Can you help us? And because we run that small discotheque, we started off in Rotterdam in Night Out. We started off in club nights on Saturday nights. And this was around 2001. There was long rows. And then we knew
there's something here.
There's something here. There was black music with house and then combined, and it was like, and we made money. And then we replicated this not only in Rotterdam, but then in The Hague. We did it in Amsterdam, we did it in Groningen, we did it in, so it became really big. And that got really out of hand. So that was one example. And it showed that we had something. We did the combination with media, and that helped. That's one of the reasons why I went into the media space. Another example is OneWorld, because Sarah Noosen, she got really cut out. Say with her or her all the staff and everything, because it wasn't really going well 5 years ago because of Corona. And we knew, at least at that time, I was in an editorial, I was in the advisory board. So, and the owners thought like, well, that's of course the foundation felt like, hey, we're gonna start off with, but then we give the license to whoever has money. So she called her finger and said like, hey, if someone else gets a chance, I want to get a chance as well. So that's the reason why I phoned her. Oh, okay. So we got like a conversation, and we make the business plan, and we got, and I think this is the whole thing: the making the business plan, getting like everybody together, and making sure that it is the right negotiations, all that kind of stuff. It's not only me; it's my network. The people who surround me and that I worked with over the last years. But the same is for her. So this is a space that we're in. We're almost finished. And the last one, that's probably the one that you're aiming at, is foundation. I just told you that I used to be a dancer. I've been on stage for 9 years. And John Agesilas, who's a dancer at that time as well, and gives a lot of lessons, everything, and is responsible for one of the biggest hip hop festivals here in the Netherlands, but almost Europe or maybe worldwide. Yeah. There were 25,000 people going to Paradiso, and we used to work together. And I've like, hey, isn't that something that you want to do 365 instead of 2 times a year? So, and during Corona, of course, he got like enthusiastic. But then the real work starts, because you can put money together and you can get people together, but getting community to work like community, first you need a space, then the space costs money and everything like that. Then you need a model, and then you need people who support it and they are willing to do the same thing. I think everybody only sees the results, but nobody understands that there's a real journey behind it. And I think that's the most important thing about this.
Absolutely. And I actually want to piggyback on that, because I think being a community builder, especially in our community, is we do it because we see a need, that something that actually we build it for ourselves, right? But a lot of the time there's no institutional support, there's no a lot of funding, and then we just go and get started either way, despite the narrative, despite the lack of resources, despite everything, that we go and do it. How do you sustain that? But what keeps you from burning out and quitting? And what keeps you going?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, because actually now I'm at, I've reached my limit with how much you can do out of passion and for the community, and how much, dry rice you want to eat, because my, your money is you need money. So I think I know that we don't get a lot of support from the institutions, or maybe even if I speak for myself, I don't know the route to all these institutions. So I don't even know if they want to give money or not. It's just not easy to reach them. At least for me, I'm very, very overwhelmed by all the funding, the funding world, and but what keeps me going is because, for example, for the photography community, for me, it starts from, it was never a plan. It really came naturally. So I was teaching every Friday night. I keep in touch with my mentees. It's because I really enjoy doing it. No, even if people don't pay me for it, I will do it because I actually enjoy it. And I do think it pays off, because now bigger institutions are interested in those in the network that we have been building every Friday night, every Monday morning, always being available. And what I see is that they're also very loyal. So if a big institution, let's say a museum, says, oh, all you young photographers from the diaspora, you should come to our museum, it doesn't work. But now when I say, hey, I'm going, do you want to join? I'm a person, I'm not an institution. So I really appreciate the loyalty of the community. But it has its challenges, because at some point you also need to say, okay, I'm organizing these events, or for example, my photography book club, or whatever, portfolio sessions. In a way, we also need to educate ourselves that we also need to pay money for each other. Just because something is community work doesn't mean it's for free, and that's sometimes a little bit of there's some tension there, because when you do something that is, let's say, good for the community, we tend to think that you can make money
and it should be free.
So I do think that we also need to pay each other to be able to do what we're doing. Because if we're going to wait for the institutions, then we're very dependent on them. But what if there is no institution? Let's say that they don't want to give us like a penny.
Yeah.
Then we need to still
invest in ourselves
yes.
and in each other.
Yeah.
John, you've been doing this for, like you say, a very long time. What is your perspective like, despite the financial constraint, despite the resources, despite everything, you're still doing it, you're still making it happen? What keeps you going?
I think it's what Coco just mentioned. It's about intrinsic motivation. This is the fire that keeps on burning, and that you organize people who believe in the same causes that you do. I think when you start off, you're not thinking about the money. You're thinking about, let's get this done. And when it's done, then you think about, how do you sustain? I think that this is the hardest struggle. And I believe another struggle is to convince the community that it's valuable and that in order to sustain, it needs money. So that means that you have to ask money, you have to... I believe that there's a lot of work still needs to be done in order to get people from, say, our diaspora to realize that that the money that is flowing, that in order to sustain it, they have to reserve that specific for community work. So community work is not free. And that's still a learning curve. I believe the moment that you have a certain kind of capacity, it's like the same example that you just mentioned, that if you have a network from, say, creatives, that there is always at some point it's interesting for another party. It's the same as with Omek. I mean, all these communities can be interesting for, depends what kind of proposition. And I understand that the institutions and fundings and everything, but I do believe that if you ask around and you get the right people, that these institutions are interesting, even the fundings are interesting in your projects as well. I think that's this the whole thing. I believe that we are not using the community the right way, because the same as though we are acquainted, but we are not. And the moment that you know that you can help each other, and I think helping each other is not, I'm doing everything for free. That's not what I'm trying to mention. That, but for me firsthand, it is about opening doors. Connecting, getting people to know each other. And I know that this is where the real opportunity, but also where the possibility lies. We forget sometimes to ask things because we're afraid of the answer. And I learned from really young age that, okay, it's probably you can get a no, but you know, and you always get a no, but probably you can get a yes.
Maybe you get a
yes. Maybe you get a yes. And I think that if we're not afraid to be disappointed, hey, then really the world is open.
I really loved two parts from both of your answer here. One is the idea of investing in ourselves. Because the work that we're doing a lot of the time also as a community builder, we do from passion, but what if a genuine need that we see that need to be fulfilled, and then we don't just sit and wait. We just go on and do it and figure out how to make it happen, how does it sustain. That sometimes we build like as we're flying, to use that term. And then also beyond the idea of investing in ourselves from monetary, time-wise, resources and all that, but the collaboration, because each and every one of us have like access to some resource, big or small, network, big or small. When we connect this dot, then that's why things start becoming like bigger. So we may not even need institution, or some people may have a bigger institution in their network. It's just a matter of, so I think that work is that's a huge space in the community building that maybe we can dive into another time, but because of the time constraint that we have, we're probably trying to wrap it up right now. I think the question, maybe the last question I want to ask you is, in the community building space, what do you love to see? What would you love to see next happen, in a community building space? What would be like your future vision of this? I know we haven't dove into those two parts, maybe that happen another time, but like, what, if you're looking at it, what would be the ideal, the next step, the next generation of community building and people contributing into making the community, our diaspora community, better community, or the vision that we want to see?
Well, I think for me it starts with knowing the community. Like you said, like you only know my name from my invoices.
I know.
But,
by the way, this was a behind-the-scene conversation where like the two of you know each other indirectly, and someone between you.
I knew her.
Yeah.
By invoice.
But
By
now
invoices.
I know
No,
you.
and now we know each other.
So
Thanks, Omek.
and I think Omek is an example of that. And it's a family vibe with a business mind.
I love that quote.
I know you can.
I remember you walking around, you like, Omek is what is it again?
I mean, I don't know, but it feels to me like it has the warmth of a family, but we're also thinking about the business side, because otherwise we're just talking about how beautiful we are and how great things we do, but we need to also have that business mind, because at the end of the day, if you like it or not, we have this saying in Dutch, like, the person who pays is the person who decides.
Yes.
So, and I'm way not money focused enough. I should be way more money focused, but I do remember this because if you can get the money, either when we invest in each other, or if it's by institutions, when you have it, you're the one who's gonna decide how you're gonna grow your organization or whatever it is that you're doing. So what I like to see in the near future for the diaspora and our community is that we need to know who we are, and what you said, not be afraid to ask for help, and make collaboration interesting and not scary. Because I don't know, maybe sometimes, when you have your project, you want to do it by yourself, but you already started with, I don't do anything by myself.
Yes.
Right. So I think that's very powerful. And yeah, to have that, to not be afraid to have a business mind. So then you can decide and be in charge of what it is that you're making, creating, or doing.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. People who pay are the people who decide.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how big or small, but we need to learn how to invest in ourselves. John, I'd love to hear what.
Well, everything what Coco says. No, I want to take it from a different angle. I think we need to understand that we live in a society with systems that are not really built for us. I think that's important to understand. How better we understand, how better we can play with it, and we can try to change that. And I think I would love that we learn more about that. That's the reason why I shout out to all the OneWorlders out there.
Yes, shout out to the OneWorld people.
OneWorld people. No, it's about information and sharing that information and work on changing the systems. Because it looks like it's something really big, but it's something that we all have worked with, or we at some point we have problems with, and it will be helpful if we help each other on that sense, because the things that I come across are probably the same as you, the same as you, but we don't know from each other.
Absolutely.
And that is the whole conquer and divide structure that we need to unravel. And for me, that is really my big thing. I hope that at some point we share this kind of information, and that you can still do your own thing. Really good and cool to do that, but let's really learn from each other.
And support each other. I love it. I think we're going to close it out on that. from Coco, how do we normalize a connection and collaboration within the community and invest in each other? And from you, it's basically like you cannot solve a problem that you don't understand. So we need to understand that the system is not built for us and leverage each other to solve it. Thank you so very much.
Thank
I really
you.
enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.